Hello, and welcome to Wednesdays Live with Evie. I don't remember what I was calling it, Wednesdays Live with Evie. And today's topic is on creating and using your ideal week. And I am Evie Burke. I am the mindset mentor and success coach at One Insight Closer. And I help women entrepreneurs who are struggling with their productivity and their focus, and I help them be more productive. I help them take their productivity to new levels. And as I said, today's topic is on creating and using your ideal week. So hang on for just 1 second, as I know everybody is getting here live, and I'm just going to see if I can share this a couple of places. Let's see, we're going to share. All right, so welcome. So today, as I said, we're going to talk about creating and using your ideal week. And when I say ideal week, I don't mean, your ideal week when your business is everything you want it to be and you have all of the clients and all of the money coming in that you could ever dream of. I'm not talking that pie in the sky ideal week. I'm talking about your ideal week right now, how you want to format your weeks. What's that structure look like? And I'm going to talk about why you want to set that up, why that structure is actually a good thing, even if you're somebody that maybe bristles a little bit at having structure in your day, why it can be supportive to you. I'm going to talk then a little bit about how to set up your ideal week. I'm not going to go into detail on that just because I listed out all of those steps over on the blog this week, so you can see step by step how to create your ideal week. And if you have any questions about that, I'm happy to expand on that. Just let me know below. And then I'm going to talk about how to integrate that ideal week that you've created with the 3 lists that you created or that I wrote about. Maybe you didn't create them, but I wrote about last week. So how these 2 things kind of work together to really help you be more productive and set your week and even your month up in a way that really sees you moving things forward in a super productive way. So let's get started, shall we? And I'm going to start with talking about why take the time to do this. And if you see me looking down, I have my handy dandy notes so that I don't go kind of down rabbit holes as I sometimes do. And of course, as we're going along, if you have any questions, please let me know. I'm happy to answer questions. So why take the time to create your ideal week? And really the reason to do this is when you lay out your ideal week, you can clearly see how much time you have available. You can see how much time you have to work on your work, how to move your projects forward, and how much time you have for your clients. And when you lay that out, it might feel initially maybe a little constraining or overwhelming, but I've found it to be very freeing to know, okay, if I have only 3 hours or 2 hours to move projects forward this week, what are those things I want to do? And I can just schedule, okay, I'm doing these 2 or 3 steps this week and be happy with getting those things done. And then I can prevent myself from feeling overwhelmed. It just gives me that structure to know what to expect from my week and from my day even. So another reason to take the time to lay out your ideal week is it gives you some time blocks to separate working in your business from working on your business. So another way to think about this is it gives you time blocks where you can say, this is the time when I'm working on my client projects or taking client calls. You know, how you word that or how you do that is going to depend on your business. Whether you are a coach like me or if you're a graphic designer, you're not going to be necessarily having client calls, but you're going to be working on client projects. So it gives you that structure for knowing these are the times that I have to work on my client things, and this is the time I've set aside to work on business things, whether that's updating a website or writing your blog or you know, whatever that might be for you right now as you are moving your business forward. And the third reason to take the time to create your ideal week is it gives you structure. And I know sometimes it's really tempting to want to poo-poo having structure in your week because, you know, we want to go with the flow. We want to let our intuition take us where we want to go and just, you know, have things happen easily. And you know what? Those things happen so much more easily when you have some structure for them to flow into. So I know some people work with intuition and they really let intuition kind of guide their days, and that's great. And one of the ways you can do that with the structure is when you're planning your week, look at the tasks for your week and just check in with yourself and say, what does my intuition, what do my guides tell me is or are the things that I want to focus on this week? And then as you are creating your daily list, do the same thing and check in as you're looking at your weekly list. What are the things that I'm feeling pulled to do right now? And you're giving yourself some structure to it so that you're not choosing from everything, but you're still tapping into, you know, your gut, your intuition, your guides, you know, however you want to call it. So yeah, that structure can really help you navigate and give you a reason to check in. So I'm going to talk a little bit now about creating your ideal week. And like I said, you can get all of the step-by-step details on the blog, and I'll include that link after the live stream is over. So, oh, and by the way, as you are watching this live, or if you're watching the recording, I'd love to know who's watching. So just comment hi so that I can say hi to you if you're here live, and if you're watching the recording, that I know you checked in, and I would love to see who's checking in. So creating your ideal week. You want to map out, you know, all the things that need to go into your week. So just briefly, you're going to want to know what are the things you want to do every day and what are the things you do every week. And hi, Mary. Hi, Ellen. I have my light over, I have a light that makes sure I'm not like completely washed out or lighted goofy. So I'm noticing maybe I need to flip it the other direction. I'm not going to do it today because it's going to mess up things, but maybe I need to flip it the other direction so that the light isn't over the names. So, note for myself next time. But, anyway, so for your ideal week, you want to map out the things you do daily and weekly. Oh, and Betty's here. Hi, Betty. And decide when your workday starts, when your workday ends, and when lunch is. All right, and those things are going to go on first because everything's going to be scheduled around the start, the end, and lunch. And I know I was sharing this system with a friend of mine, and she very tongue-in-cheek said, "What, you expect me to take lunch every day? Who does that?" And I know a lot of times as entrepreneurs, when we really get busy, then it's tempting to work through lunch or take lunch really, really late. But when we've scheduled it in, it can help us, you know, have that little note in our brain going, oh, maybe I should eat, right? So yes, highly encourage eating every day. It's a good thing to keep your energy levels up as you go through the rest of the day. So, one of the ways, well, let me back up. When you're creating that week, you need a place to keep it, right? So as you're mapping out, when you're popping lunch in, you need a calendar to put that into. And I use a Google Calendar just because that's where my regular calendar is. That's where all of my appointments are. I don't keep to-do lists in my calendar just because that doesn't work for me. Again, do what works for you. But I keep the Google Calendar, so I have, one calendar that is my appointments, and then I created my ideal week in another calendar. And that works for me just because I can really easily drag things and move things around and adjust as needed. And at the end of the week, I can kind of say, okay, what worked, what didn't work, and I can tweak my ideal week really quickly. And because they're recurring appointments on that particular calendar, it changes going forward, and it's a fabulous thing. And it also means if I want to go back and look how I had my schedule, my ideal week scheduled, a month ago, I can go back to, the first week in December and see what that ideal week was scheduled like then. So, when you're creating your ideal week, it really helps to have, whether it's an electronic or a paper way, where you can look at your whole week at once and start penciling those things in. And a resource I want to offer to you if you are somebody who works better with paper is I created and this was 2 or 3 years ago, but I created a sheet that just has Monday through Sunday on the sheet with from like 7 a.m. to maybe 8 or 9 p.m. And I'll upload that PDF into the group, Productivity for Women Entrepreneurs. And if you're not always in that group, if you're not already in that group, request to join and I will add you, and then you'll have access to that PDF copy so you can print it out, and it's really helpful to create your ideal week on there. If you're using the paper one, you can use pencil. I've also seen people use Post-it notes. I tried using Post-it notes. They kind of drove me batty because the sticky would unstick and then I wouldn't know where things went. But figure out what works for you, whether that's electronic or it's paper, and use that and kind of stick with that for a couple of weeks and see how that works. All right, so that's just a little bit about creating your ideal week. Again, if you want the full step-by-step instructions, that's over on the blog, and I'll include that link later. So now integrating your ideal week with the 3 lists we talked about last week. So it might initially not seem like they play together, but they actually do. They play together really, really well. And they're one of the reasons why I'm much more unlikely to overplan my week, is because I use these 2 things together all of the time. So first let's talk about the master list. So the master list should include everything that you're doing, and it should minimally include your weekly list and things that you do weekly. I don't include my daily things on my master list just because those daily things sometimes change. So I know I do them daily. I have them listed out on my daily planner, and I don't feel the need to add them into my master list. If that's what works for you, by all means add it. Just looking over my notes here. So that's just a weekly thing should be on the master list, just so that they're captured there. For your weekly list, again, even on my weekly list, I don't include my daily things just because they're things that happen every day. So I will on the bottom of my daily list, I know this is going to be switched backwards for you, but at the bottom of my daily list, this is today's daily list, lots of appointments today, I put the things that I do every day. So mine are meditation, I pull a card just for, guidance for the day, checking email. Normally there's two email checks there, but today I have a lot of appointments going on, so I really only have time to sit down once and spend a lot of time in Facebook and email. And the book I'm reading, I like to read about 15 minutes a day, minimally, and then I track how much water I'm drinking during the day, because I'm somebody that gets headaches if I do not keep myself hydrated, so it's super important for me to be drinking throughout the day, so that drinking water throughout the day, so that I'm not tired or going to get a headache then the next day. So those are where I keep my daily things. And with the weekly list, or on the ideal week, I have blocks of time to do some of those things. So things like meditate, pulling a card. I have a 15 or half-hour segment, I don't remember how long, that repeats every single day on my calendar. For Facebook and email checks, I have times, half-hour slots. They might actually be bumping up next week for in the morning and in the afternoon to check Facebook and email. And I have my lunch and my book time are together, so I'll have lunch and then I'll sit down and I'll read for a while with whatever's time is left. So that's how I schedule those things. Water, I don't put those in my calendar because that's something I should be mindful of throughout the day. But as I say that, now I'm thirsty, so hey. What else do I want to say about that? Oh, and for the weekly things that I've mapped out time for, I do put them on my list. So things like my newsletter, they go on my ideal week, but not each individual task does. Just everything, all of the tasks that go with that, they take me about 2 hours, 2.5 hours. So I have a 2.5 block of time on Monday morning that just says, weekly emails. And then I know that's my chunk of time to get those things done. And then that weekly email piece is at the top of my most important tasks. So that gets put into my weekly list. I'm kind of jumping all over the place here, so let me take a step back. So the way that it works so I don't overplan myself is I look at my ideal week and I look at the week I'm planning together. So I'll put those two calendars together in a weekly view for Google. And then I can easily see, what needs to be moved around, first of all. So I go to WESOS, Women Entrepreneurs Secrets of Success, twice a month on Friday. So I have on my ideal calendar networking blocked out from, I think it's 4 hours on Friday mornings. And that just recurs weekly. So there are 2 to 3 weeks of the month where that meeting isn't happening. And I'm networking other days of the week. So for this week, I was networking this morning. And so that networking time moved over to Wednesday morning as opposed to Friday morning. And then I could move around, what normally I would be doing on Wednesday morning, I could schedule that over on Friday if it made sense. So it means by having that ideal week, I can make sure that things aren't falling through the cracks, that I'm not forgetting to do something that I would normally do every week just because I'm networking on Wednesday morning once a month, and that's not maybe something I do every week, so it won't throw me. So I can adjust the week that way. And then what I do is I grab a sticky note and I write, here's my sticky note for this week. I just pulled it off. And I write Monday, and I know it's switched, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday across the top. And then I write down how much time I have that morning to get things on my weekly list done, and how much time I have in the afternoons. And then I just add those up. So on Monday I had 5.5 hours. And then at the bottom I put down how much time I have total to move projects forward. And that's about 20 hours. And that's actually a lot for this week despite some of the other things going on. So because I know that, then I can start looking at, okay, what else needs to go in there? So then I can pull in the weekly things, because this 20 to 20 hours does not include the daily things. Those daily things are already on my ideal week, and that time isn't accounted for in the 20 hours. So these are just for the weekly tasks. So then when I'm creating my weekly list, I can write down the weekly tasks that I know I need to be doing, and those are going to be included then, that time is going to be taken out of that 20 hours. But it's on my calendar. I know that the weekly emails need to be happening. So those are the first things on my most important tasks, because they are my most important tasks. And then another thing that happens weekly is stats. I go through and I look at my stats on my website, my Facebook views, things like that. That takes me about 15 minutes each week. And I put those in other tasks just because if I don't happen to do that week, that's fine. I can do it the next week for, the current week. But I do want to capture that I want to do that. Then I start going through my master list and looking at what are the highest priority things that I want to get done this week. So what are maybe those one or two things that if nothing else got done for the week, but those two things did, that the week would feel like it was super productive. And I'll write those in first on my most important tasks. And I'll be cognizant of how much time those tasks are going to take. And so I'll just start going through my master list and saying, okay, what are the most important things that need to get done? And I'll start adding those to my list. And there's a couple of things this week that got crossed out. But so I'll just start writing down what are the things that need to get done this week. And because I know how much time I have, and I know that I want to keep about an hour or two free so that I can adjust for the things that come up during the week. Like maybe I was networking and I told somebody that I would send them some information that wasn't on my list at the beginning of the week, but if I leave some time free, then I can still have time to reach out to them and send that email without worrying about it throwing my week in a tizzy. And also, sometimes things take longer than we expect them to. So by having that little bit of buffer time, it allows me to not freak out that something took me an extra half hour because I know I have some of that buffer time worked in. I will be cognizant, though, that if I said something was going to take an hour and it's starting to take longer, I might look at, am I doing more work on it than I need to do, or did I underestimate the time that this task was going to take? I know sometimes I can end up in Facebook black holes or internet black holes because I'm overthinking something. So sometimes if I notice that things are taking longer, it just means I need to take a step back and look at, am I actually working on something or doing this in a way that is productive? So because I'm cognizant of how much time I have that week, sometimes the other tasks aren't going to be completely full just because I've run out of time. Let me know if you guys have any questions around these things, just because it makes a lot of sense in my head, and I want to make sure I'm explaining it in a way that you guys are understanding how I'm talking about it, and that I'm not just talking in circles. So let me know. I'm going to go into today's list. So with today's list, again, I pull that from the weekly list, and I break that into AM and PM sections. So last week when I talked about the 3 lists, I talked about another way to create your daily list. That way doesn't work for me just because of the way that I use my ideal week with my 3 lists. So, go back and look at that, and if the other way works for you better, that's great. Do what works for you. I'm just sharing what's working for me. So I pull it from my weekly list, and I break and you saw that in my post-it note, I break my day into AM and PM sections. So what's happening in the morning and what's happening in the afternoon, and how much time I have for those things. And when I'm creating my today list, I look at, my today list, I look at what weekly tasks are already scheduled for that time. So on Mondays, that's my putting together the emails for the week. And then I'll write out in the AM all of the steps that I need to complete to finish my emails. And if I need to go back and look, all of those steps are mapped out in my master list, and I can just pull those directly into the today list. I won't add to my daily list, to the AM and PM blocks, again, the meditation and the email checks and things like that, because again, I put those at the bottom of my daily list to kind of check off. And if there's any time remaining that with the in the daily schedule, then I'll start pulling from the weekly list what are the things that need to get done. And ideally, I'm pulling from the most important tasks first, but sometimes though there are time constraints on those or specific days of the week. So one of my most important tasks is updating my Friday email with the link for this live. I can't do that on Tuesday, right? That's something that has to be done after the live happens, because I'm not going to have the link on Tuesday. But I'll pull from that most important task list first. And I also take into account time constraints. So if I only have a half hour to work on something and all of my most important tasks are going to be an hour or more, then I know that I'm not going to be working on those, just because working on it halfway generally is going to frustrate me more than anything else, and it's going to make it take longer. Yeah, so that's how I use the weekly list or the master list and my 3 to-do lists together. So let me know if you have any questions. I don't see any. I see a comment from Mary about puppy meetings. Yes. Occasionally I will pencil in meetings with people to come over and bring their dogs. So Mary has done that, or I'll pencil in to go and visit someone and their dog. So I don't see any questions. Let me know over in Productivity for Women Entrepreneurs. Let me know how you see this working for you. And of course, any questions that you have around this. I know it can feel like a lot if this is something that you haven't done before. And if you have any questions about how to make this work for you, or how to work this into your business or your daily routine, let me know. I'm happy to help you out with that. But yeah, post over on Productivity for Women Entrepreneurs any questions you have, anything you would like me to go into maybe more detail in, or anything like that. And of course, over there I will share that PDF of planning out your week. The other way that you can use that is to just start penciling in things that you're doing for the day or for the week. I think that's all I have today. I feel like there's one more thing I was going to share with you that I've forgotten, but I think I've covered everything. So have a fabulous day. I look forward to seeing you over at Productivity for Women Entrepreneurs. And again, let me know if you have any questions. My name's Evie Burke. I'm the Mindset Mentor and Success Coach at One Insight Closer. And I help women entrepreneurs who are struggling with productivity and focus up their productivity game. I help them be more productive, to take their productivity to a new level. So I hope you have a fabulous week. Come back again next week for another Wednesday Live with Evie. I'm not sure exactly what we're going to be covering next week, but I have a couple ideas percolating. So watch your inbox for that. And if you're not on my newsletter, head over to oneinsightcloser.com and sign up for that so that you can see what the topic is for next week. So much love to everyone, and you have a great week. Bye.